Chapter 1. Colt Brannigan kissed his mother on the cheek. "I'll see you tonight." He turned to her caregiver. "I'm working with the nursing service in Sundance. They'll be sending someone out in the next few days to start helping you with Mom's care." "I'll be fine. Hank's been able to give me some free time." "That's good. See you tonight, Ina." Colt's 60-year-old mother didn't know anyone. She'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's before his father's death 16 months ago. It had grown much worse over the past year. She needed round-the-clock care. "Hey, Colt." At the sound of his brother Hank's voice, Colt shut the bedroom door and strode down the hallway of the ranch house's main floor toward him. "What's up?" "Phone call for you from Warden James's office." "Warden James? Must be a wrong number," he said, knowing full well it wasn't. He walked past his brother and headed for the back door, not needing another delay when he should be in the upper pasture. Hank followed him at a slower pace due to his walking cast. "You did advertise for a housekeeper in the Black Hills Sentinel. They want to know if you've already filled the position." Colt realized he should have indicated in the ad that they were looking for a female housekeeper. His mother would insist on it if she could express herself, but that time would never come again. "Tell them it's too late." "But—" "No buts." He cut his brother off with a grimace. Before their father had passed away from blood clots in the lungs, he'd obliged the warden by granting him a favor, one he'd lived to regret. The freed inmate had been taken on as a ranch hand on a provisional basis. He'd stayed only long enough for a few meals and a paycheck before he took off with the blanket from his bunk and some of the other hands' cash. To add injury to insult, he'd stolen one of the ranch's quarter horses. Colt had tracked him down and recovered the stolen property. The ex-felon was once again behind bars. Unfortunately, the percentage of freed inmates who ended up back in prison was high. Now that Colt ran the Floral Valley Ranch, he'd be damned if he would make the mistake his father had and invest any more time or money on an ex-con. "I'll be checking fences all day. Won't be home till late. Call if there's an emergency." He jumped off the back porch and headed for the barn. After swinging into the saddle, he galloped away on Digger. It took the right kind of female to run a household like theirs and manage the domestic help. In fact, it took a saint. But those were in short supply since their previous housekeeper, Mary Whitebird, had died. Colt realized their family could never replace her. The full-blooded Lakota had been their mother's right hand and an institution on the ranch. He'd advertised in various newspapers throughout Wyoming and South Dakota, but so far none of the applicants had the qualifications he was looking for. Forget a released felon. Colt was getting desperate, but not that desperate. Floral Valley Ranch, 4 miles. Geena Williams rode past the small highway sign and had to turn around. 8 miles back, an old rancher at the Cattleman's Stock and Feed store in Sundance, Wyoming, had told her she might miss the turnoff if she weren't looking for it. He'd been right. From here on out, it would be dirt road. She stopped long enough to catch her breath and take a drink from her water bottle. During the day, the temperature had been 69 degrees, with some wind in the afternoon, typical for early June in northeastern Wyoming, but now it had dropped into the 50s and would go lower. Her second-hand parka provided little insulation. Though the weather had cooperated, it was sheer will and adrenaline that had gotten her this far. Now desperation would have to get her the rest of the way. Her legs would probably turn to rubber before she reached her destination, but Geena couldn't quit now. She needed to make it to the ranch before it was too dark to see. A half-hour later, she caught sight of a cluster of outbuildings, including the ranch house, but it was 10 to 10 and she didn't dare approach anyone this late. She pedaled her road bike over to a stand of pines and propped it against one of the trunks.